Ari, Michigan has beaten Ohio State 3 times in a row. A lot of psychic baggage in this game. Ohio State needs to get a win against Michigan. Ryan Day needs a win against Michigan. But Ari, I think we should just look at the Prize Picks squares. And I think if you're a Buckeye, you're feeling a little better. So what is Prize Picks? It's the best daily fantasy game in America. Download the app, use the code STAPLES, play $5, get $50 instantly when you sign up. So it's based on squares. You have a player, there's a stat category attached. You decide if they're going to do more than or less in this. So look at Will Howard, his passing number, 253.5. That's a pretty good game for Will Howard, but he could do more than or a little bit less than. Jeremiah Smith, the receiver, 76.5 receiving yards. Quinshon Judkins, the back, 59.5 rushing yards. Travion Henderson, 46.5 rushing yards. Now let's look at the Michigan ones. Quarterback Davis Warren, 135.5, more or less. Khalil Mullings, their top back, 43.5, more or less. Donovan Edwards, 38.5 rushing yards, more or less. Ari, there's no way this happens unless Michigan's defense holds Ohio State to almost nothing.
Yeah. So the tricky thing about the Ohio State side is that when you choose the numbers, you have to choose which player is going to do it because they have so many different options of guys who can take over a game. Like Carnell Tate, for instance, he might not even have a square. He was the player last week for Ohio State in the Indiana game who took over. It's like when you pick the running back, which one do you think it's going to be? I usually pick Trey Henderson because he is somebody who has had a long track record during his career at breaking off long runs. So it's like he's one carry away from going more than at any point in time because he's such a home run hitter. The numbers on the Michigan side are depressing.
Yes, it's sad.
Yeah. It's like so weird to see after what we know about Donovan Edwards too from last year and all the runs he broke in the playoff and on the way to a national title. It's just such a fall from what we've become accustomed to. And it's like, I'm trying to tuck myself into there being a path for Michigan to win this game or to be in a position to win in the second half. And I just don't even know what it is.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, now Michigan had one of its probably its best offensive day last week against Northwestern, but
they did drop a
that game doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah. It's like you're leaning on a team that can't stop you and you just do the stuff that you do and it's working. It's not going to work against a team that has 7 NFL draft picks on its defense. So, the thing that I always try to remind myself this year is that the last 3 years I picked Ohio State to beat Michigan because Ohio State has had, or I perceive them to have better players from top to bottom than Michigan. But if you actually go back and look at what Michigan had drafted last year and who was actually playing in the game, not just total talent from 1 to 85, but maybe 1 to 40, Michigan stacked up quite well against Ohio State from 1 to 40 last year. Again, we're back to 2019 situation where, the top 6 players on Michigan's team are probably very, very good NFL players. But Ohio State's got 30 of them. So I just don't know that Michigan can figure something out unless they've been drawing stuff up in practice or, Michigan's done a pretty good job in the past at catching Ohio State by surprise in moments where, we haven't run that all year. We're going to do it now type things. Maybe they'll do a few of those, but there's not a lot of confidence for me that Michigan's offense is going to light it up. I think the only path to Michigan keeping it close is if their defensive line takes advantage of the offensive line jumbling that Ohio State's had to do, mucks it up, causes some turnovers, and tries to slow the game down.
Yeah, and the other piece of this is Ohio State wants to make a point here. Yeah. And that's where the Will Howard more than passing yards number fits in. If Ohio State's trying to explain something to us, hey, we realize we've lost the last 3 of these, but we're still very much in control here. You may see them continue airing it out even after they've built the lead. So
yeah,
that's the other piece of this. It'll be interesting to watch because this game, until we see Ohio State break the streak's not broken. But it feels like it's breaking this week.
Yeah, it's just one team has consistently recruited and brought in players at a level that the other team hasn't. The other team, Michigan, had a nice run and it culminated in a national title. So good on them. But like, in order to restore the overall arching theme of the rivalry, which is Ohio State's a juggernaut every year, and you're probably not going to be, I think we're going to return to normalcy in that regard when it comes to what happens on Saturday.